Denim off of here. So I'm gonna try to keep this video not super long and obnoxious. So let's get right into it. We got our CR500AF bike right here. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit, but I also just kind of wanted to walk people around the shop and just kind of give a little shop update. I've acquired a few things since then, and we'll kind of talk about some of that stuff. So here's this is a 97 CR250 frame. Very, very similar to, I got everything for this bike. I got the swing arm, tires, I got the subframe, I even got a seat. I think that's from like a 2001. You can see the front forks right there. But man, this is the thing with picking up bikes like this, is that, like, you know, you can't really tell how crunchy everything is when you're picking it up. Like, this bolt just didn't want to come out. Look how rusty all this stuff is. And if you look at you can tell this thing was left in the rain just looking at the rust on that bolt right there. Like, you know what I mean? This is something somebody left outside. So maybe down the line somewhere I'll build another 500 AF bike out of this. But this is a 98 frame CR250. Very similar. You can see they're very similar. Probably identical if you didn't know, but on the 97, you can see it's got this big lobe back here, and this is the only difference that I've been able to tell. But on the 98, if you look on the bottom, you can see no lobe. It's got these two big things. So, yeah, so one of the reasons I'm telling you that is I'm about to weld the front tabs. I'm going to cut these off because that's for the old ignition sparker, but it's attached to this wire now and hanging in there so it can, I don't know, maybe absorb a little less vibrational energy. But anyway, so yeah, so you can see these holes right here. So I cut the old tabs off on the front. So this thing is just being held in by this main bolt. And the coolest thing about putting an 87, so this is an 87 CR500. At least I'm pretty sure it is. I think. Because this is the bike it came out of. This is what I picked it up. And this bike was rough. I was going to use it. You can see I did all kinds of structural reinforcement welding, whether you think that's pretty or not. It's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But if you look up here, you can see that this is definitely an 87 frame. And this is what this motor was in. Interestingly enough, this swing arm is not for this frame. This swing arm was on this bike when I got it. So when I first bought it, and you'll see I have a stand-in chain slide, and I had actually bought a chain slide. But the reason it didn't fit is because I guess a lot of parts are interchangeable, and I should have known since I bought this from a guy in a junkyard, but this is not an 87 CR500 swing arm. Is it a CR250 swing arm? No. Actually, it's at least like a 93 to a 91 to up to a 97, all the way to 2001. I mean, it's the same thing after a certain point. You can tell because it's got this big hump in the middle, and the other ones don't have that. I mean, I like it. It looks really good. It's really interesting that it fits so well with the 97 or 98 frame, because if you come over here, I don't know if the swing arms are identical, but here's the 98 swing arm. And that doesn't look anything like, it's got that bit, and it's flat right there. It doesn't have that little telltale hump. I mean, I like that little hump. It's kind of neat. It's also really weird because you can see there's no hole right there. This is where the suspension lever, the bolt goes through the entire swing arm and bolts on the back. So I kind of like that personally. I think that's kind of weird, kind of unique, and really strong. I really like through bolts. So here we have I'm never gonna finish this thing. It's supposed to be an all-wheel drive hybrid motorcycle, steel frame. One day I'll get to it. That thing in the back is a 2005, KX250F. And both of these frames up here, respectively. So this is a 6. Yeah, you can tell because it's got these little lines running up the aluminum cross member right here. Now if you look on this one, the 08, it does not. But as far as I can tell, they're absolutely identical except for those lines. You can even tell just in like they use the same triple trees. So one of them has its Y cut out, if you're paying close attention. So this one, the 08, I have everything for it. Here's the forks I'm gonna rebuild and use for it. That's a DRZ 400 swing arm. Still don't know what I'm gonna do with that. Here's the expansion chamber for it, and I also have the motor, but it's not here because I wouldn't keep that here because I don't want to lose two 500 two-stroke motors if I get robbed. So okay, so the reason I made this video is we're gonna strip this apart. So you can see I kind of started, and then like I put this bolt back on because I wanted you guys to experience the whole thing, the whole shebang. So we're gonna take this off, and then we're gonna start by. So there's the side plastic. There's really 3 bolts that hold it in, but we're gonna pretend like it's just one. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take this whole thing apart and just kind of give a little rundown of how I did it. It's a 97 frame, 97 to 98, and these are definitely the most common CR500AF frames that you see. So, and my theory on that is that they're just so prevalent. So okay, so let's pop the seat off. Holds on to a little pinch thing in the front there. Yeah, so I have to take this thing apart so that we can take it to my friend's house, and he's gonna try to help me aluminum weld those tabs on. So gosh, I hope it goes well. If it doesn't, I'm gonna be figuring out how to decrustify and switch everything over to this 97 frame, but God, I hope we don't run this 98 one. That would really suck. But at least there's a backup, potentially. So okay, so let's strip the rest of the plastics off and then see what it looks like after that. Alright, we got all the plastics off, except for the back piece, but that's just because I wanted you to see this this funny job I did with the FMF. This is actually the FMF that I had bought for that exhaust, and it's supposed to go on my CX500AF, but it just happened to fit with this, honestly, like pretty laughable exhaust that I cut up and put back on. Fun fact though, for those of you out there considering putting any CR500 motor into one of these 97, 98 CR250 frames, you can just, and I found this out after I welded this expansion chamber up, you can just straight up buy a 97 CR500, and they're a lot more prevalent, and they probably even still make FMFs for them and stuff, so you can just buy, because like if you're trying to buy for like there's not a lot of options out there, so yeah, just buy like a stock, like FMF, something from like a 97 CR500, because apparently, up to the 2001, because they're all the same after that, so those will just bolt right onto these. So I'm probably not even going to end up using this one. I'm probably just going to buy one that doesn't have all those hideous weld marks, because thin metal is really hard to weld. So okay, so this is what it looks like without the plastics. So next we're going to go ahead and take that rear plastic off. Here's what the plastics look like off the bike. We're going to take these rear plastics off, and we're going to take the gas tank off, and then I'll bring you back. Just a real quick side note, here's like all the hardware. So you might notice that this hardware isn't like pretty and shiny, and it's not new. This is why I save all of my bolts and nuts and washers so I can do projects like this. Because, you know, I don't think it's really cool to just like spend a bunch of money. Like, there are plenty of people who have cooler bikes, you know, this could be Travis Pastrana's RMzilla 500, which I'll have one day, don't you worry. But you know what? Like, it would have been a lot cooler if he built it himself. So, you know, there's tons of, like, stuff out there about people who have, like, billet crankcases and super expensive, nice motors that they spend a lot of their, I don't know, their money on. It's like, okay, I'm not really interested in that. So I thought maybe people would like to see something like this, you know, DIY CR500AF. So, okay. Enough talking. Let's take this stuff off. Alright, we got all of its clothes off. And those are stock 98 CR250 plastics. Just buy those off of anywhere on the internet. So here's what it looks like, all naked. Minus a exhaust. So okay, we're going to take the gas tank off next. Okay, now we're going to drain the gas without trying to spill all of it. Okay, there's most of it out of that little line anyway. You may remember earlier too, I was saying that that's where the ignition coil is connected to. So we're gonna remove this. You'll see that here in a second when I take the gas tank off. Okay, well JK, I guess this bolt has to come out so the gas tank can clear it and move out. Okie dokie, well we loosened the subframe since apparently that was the way, so we're gonna go ahead and see if we can pull the gas tank out now. All right, bada bing, bada boom. There's the gas tank out. Let's take a look at the gas tank itself. Here's the gas tank. You would be surprised how much these gas tanks cost. For the CR500AF, for the 98 or around the year, really expensive for some reason. And I'm going to get around to replacing this petcock at some point because you can see the leverage bent, but it hasn't snapped off like so many and I can still twist it. So cool, so there's the tank. All right, next we're going to take the subframe off. So I already loosened these bolts. We're just going to undo those 2 bolts and then undo the boot right here. All right, so here's our subframe pulled out, the 98 CR500 subframe. Super expensive, like 200 bucks for this, and like 200 or 300 bucks for that too. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. Here's what she looks like as a cool. I mean, I could ride just like this, right? Just like it's a Street Fighter. No, I probably shouldn't. But yeah, here's the inside of the guts. Oh yeah, so this is really funny too. So it's got 2. So in the original CR500, it's like a dual radiator setup. There's like you can see it right there. There's a pillar in the front, like most bikes, and then here on this side, like these 2 bolts, and then on the other side is where the radiators go. Well, this one's got a mono radiator on this model, so I had to, I don't remember what I stole this out of, but I had to kind of route these to one, so probably need to get like an air fan to blow it off, but let's keep moving. All right, now comes the time of the show where I need to put it up on that big block. And I release you! Oh, baby. Nice, I also just realized I'm bending this triangle, so that's probably great for the rear axle too. All right, here she is, freed and perched precariously. Oh man, this is why I need to get rid of this exhaust. It's just, or buff it and sand it and just, oh, it's so rough. All right, we're about to drain the water. We can see there's some mystery schmutz down in there. Probably just the particulate that was in all the lines and the head and the pump. Just got all forced to this one spot. It looks like sand or something. Hopefully that doesn't mean our crankcase is full of water, and when we dump this, we don't get a bunch of like oily glue come out, because that's what it looks like when your oil and your water mix. It turns this like sloshy, goopy goo. We'll see. Okay, I already took a little bit of this water out, and you can see there's, I wouldn't drink it, but that doesn't look like mixed oil and water. So let's drain the rest of it out. A little tinkle hole. Yeah, so if our water pump repair didn't hold, you'd see oil coming out of here. And more likely, when you open this, water would come out. So, not the case, so that's good. It's a good sign. Not super happy that there's like sand in the top of this thing from all the grit left in it, so we're just going to flush that out when we take the radiator off. Alright, to get making the radiator off, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to take the expansion chamber off, since there's literally just one spring holding it on at the moment. Yeah, the only thing harder than taking these springs off is putting them back on. And of course, I forgot that the exhaust manifold is such a tight fit that I actually have to go ahead and I have to undo the screws holding the manifold thing on first. Okay, so here's the exhaust manifold, and it's only after like 5 minutes of running, but man, this thing is oily. Alright, so this was a $600 exhaust that I initially bought for the steel frame of the CR500, and then I got this frame and decided that I was going to convert this one to it. So I took a really expensive $600 exhaust and made an ugly job of making it fit on something where I could have bought a $200 or $300 exhaust. Let's collectively laugh at this hideous garbage. Gosh, alright, moving on. Alright, here's what the bike looks like. No exhaust. We're getting there. We're getting to the end. Once the motor's out, that's pretty much it. It's just one bolt to take that off and one bolt to take that off. So we're getting there. Alright, let's take the radiator off now.
Alright, I just actually noticed if you look up there, kind of like right there, we're actually getting a little exhaust leak from the exhaust. So I definitely need to make sure those are nice and snug. And then use the little insulator that goes between the manifold and the actual exhaust chamber. Alright, so I got the radiator off. There were 4 bolts on the lead off, 2 up here, and then 2 down there. There's the 2 bolt holes up top, and those are the 2 right there. So let's go drain this out in a separate bucket and see if we can see what the sand is. Yeah, so that's the water that came out of the radiator, and like this is like an actual, like that came out of the radiator. So
and there's still some gunk in there. So I'm thinking probably what happened is a dirt dauber. If you don't know what a dirt dauber is, they're like little wasps that make mud nests like this. See how that flaky material? I'm guessing dirt daubers made a nest up in my radiator before I got it sealed off. So that's awesome. Gotta wash that out a little better now. Yeah, that's great. That's what you love to see come out of your radiator. See what I mean? It's gotta be great for the impeller, right? Can't really see it on the camera, but if you see inside those slits, the ones that make up the actual chambers of the water, this kind of looks like there's little rocks or pebbles or crap crammed in them. So if I can't work those out with like hot water and, I don't know, vinegar or something, I might just have to buy another radiator. That sucks. But that's why we take stuff apart. And I only ran the bike for like 5 minutes total. So with it like this, didn't rev it very hard. So that sucks, but you know, that's why we do stuff like this. All right, so here's the bike. Nothing but the electrical system, the motor, and the suspension. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pop the rear suspension off. I'm actually gonna take the chain off first, actually. Oops, try not to knock this off the stand. Oh my gosh, I just kind of swiped my finger through and there's like mud in all the lines too. Oh my god, it was definitely a dirt dauber nest that got chewed up. All right, so here's the master link to this KTM chain that I salvaged off of a KTM SXF. It's good to put it like kind of like on the center of the teeth, so when you take the master link off, the whole chain doesn't just fly everywhere. All right, we got the chain apart. Now let's just plop. All right, now that we got the chain off, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna use this bad boy and we're gonna loosen the main bolt and take the suspension off. Probably also gonna have to loosen probably at least this one. We're gonna go ahead and crack this brake line with a 12mm also, just because honestly there's nothing even in this brake line at the moment anyway, so no .4. So we're gonna go ahead and take this off so we can take the whole swing arm off. Okay, next we're gonna take the spring off. I'm gonna undo it up here on this bolt and nut, and then I'm also gonna unthread it right there, and I'm just gonna pull it out. All right, we got the suspension coil out. No idea what this is from. My assumption is a CR500, maybe a 250. Here's the bike without it in there. You can see that suspension is sagging a little lower. So next we're going to take the swing arm off. And in order to do that, we got to lift the suspension. Oh gosh. And then we have to take off, these are CR500 suspension linkages that we've built into our suspension. So we have to remove this so those can drop out first. All right, 119 bolt later, and there's the CR500 suspension linkages are no longer going through. Now that we got this bolt removed, we should be able to take the whole swing arm off. All right, here's the swing arm off. There's the CR500 suspension linkages. That cushion lever actually came with this subframe from whatever CR500 year it's from, 93 to 91, 2001, something like that. All right, now here's the bike with just the front forks. There's the motor. Let's get some light. There you go. Can see that snowmobile carb just a little better. I don't actually have a spot for the rear, this thing right here, for the rear brake reservoir just yet, but another bridge to burn before I cross it. So let's go ahead and let's take the front suspension off first. I don't actually want to undo all the wiring too, so the cap for the carburetor will just spin off. Okay, but at first apparently we have to loosen the boot a little bit so I can twist it and take that thing off. Here's what that flat slide, carb slide looks like when it comes out. Goes through that needle shim in the middle, screws on top. And I might as well just take the carb out at this point too also. Yeah, I got this carb out of a snow machine, and I guess it has some kind of drainage system on the bottom. I had to plug that up with a piece of hose and a bolt. So I just need to find a bolt that plugs that sufficiently. I'm probably gonna take it apart, make sure it's all good. Okay, so not quite as easy as I was hoping. I'm probably gonna have to take the grip guards off so I can take this off, so I can take all the cables off so I can get this suspension off. But once I do that, it's just one bolt, take the front suspension out. All right, awesome. We got the cables off, and I didn't end up having to take everything apart. So now we're gonna go ahead and, oh, that's weird. So now we're gonna go ahead and take off the front suspension. Oh, there we go. Man, that was like really yellow for a second. Okay, cool. Now we can see better. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this front suspension off. But before we do that, I have to take off these 4 12mm bolts that are holding the handlebars on. All right, boom, handlebars off. Now we just need to put it's like a 22 or something on there. Let's see. Well, pardon me, it's a 32, and man, that came off with, I just put the socket on here. So that's the vibrational energy. So I need to go ahead and I'm going to tap this hole, I think. And I'm going to put a bolt with a lock washer and some red Loctite on the top to hold this nut on. So let's take these off and see what it looks like with just the engine in the frame. All right, so now that I've loosened the 2 top nuts on either side, and there's nothing holding this off, I should be able to pop this part of the triple tree off, and then I should be able to just lift the frame off of this thing. It should just come right apart. All right, there's the front DRZ400 forks. And here's our motor just in our frame. We got her pretty successfully stripped, I'd say. Now the only thing holding this motor in this frame is this bolt right here. Okay, wow. So I mean that's pretty much more or less how you strip down a a CR500 aluminum frame bike. You know, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment. I'm gonna blow all the sand out of this thing, and actually let's take the impeller cover off and see what the impeller looks like real quick, because it's magnesium. I had just done the seals on this thing, so let's make sure that it's not all full of sand and destroyed. All right, so these are the bolts 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and we're gonna take those off, and then we're gonna take a look at our impeller, and that'll be in our video. Man, I'll tell you what, if this wasn't one of the most annoying things to ever happen to me, this would actually be pretty funny. You can see all of the sand and, you know, conjunctivitis, but the impeller, it looks okay. It actually looks okay. Surprisingly. It was definitely a dirt dauber nest. I can't believe I let a dirt dauber nest in my radiator and I started it up. Gosh, that's so annoying. But it seems okay. So yeah, there she blows, our CR500AF project thus far. Stay tuned, and again, feel free to subscribe. I appreciate it. You better believe I plugged all my loose holes this time. I'm not getting any more uninvited dirt daubers in my engine. I still can't believe that. Stay spicy, folks.